Okay, so picture this. You're on a ship thousands of miles from any shore. There's no land in sight, you have no compass, and a thick, soupy fog has completely blotted out the sun. For a Viking sailor, say around 900 to 1200 AD, this wasn't some kind of nightmare scenario, it was just another Tuesday. So you have to ask, how in the world did they conquer the treacherous North Atlantic and get to places like Greenland and even North America? Well, the answer might just be stranger than fiction, and it's been hiding in their own legends all this time.
The clues might be buried in ancient texts, like this passage from the saga of King Olaf. It talks about this almost magical tool, a sunstone, something that could find the sun even when it's completely hidden by clouds. Now, for centuries, people just wrote this off as pure folklore. But what if it wasn't?
This is the big mystery, right? It's the question that's been bugging historians and scientists for decades. How could a simple stone give ancient sailors the power to see something that was totally invisible? Well, you're in the right place because this is the story of the Viking sunstone.
Now, before we get to the answer, you really have to appreciate the massive scale of the problem they were facing. For these incredible navigators, the open ocean wasn't just water. It was, for all intents and purposes, a vast, featureless void.
The Vikings did have sundials, and those were fantastic tools for navigating, as long as it was a clear day. But see, their stomping grounds were the North Atlantic, which is one of the foggiest, most overcast places on the entire planet. So when the sun vanished for days at a time, their main navigational tool basically became a useless piece of wood. They were, quite literally, lost in the void.
So if their number one tool was failing them all the time, what did they do? This is where the legends offer a really fascinating possibility, pointing to an almost mythical object right at the heart of this whole mystery.
In the Icelandic sagas, they call it solar stain, which just means sunstone. They describe it as this special mineral that could pinpoint the sun's exact location, even through the thickest cloud cover. I know, it totally sounds like magic, but modern science has a very real-world candidate for what this mythical object could be.
And here it is. This is Iceland spar. It's a type of calcite crystal, and you can find it right there in Scandinavia. The reason everyone's so excited about it is that it has this really unique optical property. So remarkable, in fact, that it might be the very thing that turns this ancient legend into a practical, working piece of technology.
So how would a Viking navigator actually use this thing? Well, the theory behind it is surprisingly simple. You hold the crystal up to the sky and you start to rotate it. As you turn it, you'll see the light that's passing through it split into two separate beams or images. And here's the genius part. When those two images become equally bright, the stone is pointing directly at the sun, even a sun you can't see with your own eyes.
And this isn't magic, it's physics. Let's dive into the incredible science that lets this simple-looking crystal see what our eyes just can't.
The secret has a fancy name. It's called birefringence. But think of it like this. When sunlight comes through our atmosphere, it gets organized into these invisible patterns. You can think of them as light waves all vibrating in the same direction. Now, we can't see this pattern, but Iceland spar can. It takes that organized, polarized light and splits it in two, revealing the hidden direction of the sun.
Right, so on a cloudy day, sunlight is just scattering everywhere. It's chaotic, and it completely hides where the sun actually is. But the sunstone, it acts like a special filter. It takes all that chaos, finds the hidden pattern underneath, and brings order to the light, creating a direct pointer right back to the sun's location. Pretty incredible.
Okay, so this all works in theory, but could you actually guide a ship across an entire ocean with it? Well, modern researchers decided to put the myth to the test.
And the results were, frankly, astonishing. Experiments have shown that by using a piece of Iceland spar, a navigator could find the sun's position with a precision of just a single degree. That is an absolutely insane level of accuracy, and it's more than enough for really effective long-distance navigation. And to really see the impact, researchers ran computer simulations of a 3-week voyage all the way from Norway to Greenland. Get this, if they checked their position with the sunstone only every 4 hours, they still had about a 50-50 chance of making it. But if they used it more often, say every 1 to 3 hours, that success rate shot up to an incredible 92%. This wasn't just some gimmick, it was a total game changer.
So the science works. The simulations are super convincing. Case closed, right? Well, not exactly. The final chapter of this voyage is still very much unsolved.
When you really step back and weigh the evidence, it's a compelling story, but it's also a complicated one.
On the one hand, you've got the sagas, the science is totally sound, and there was even a potential sunstone found in a shipwreck from the 1500s, which suggests the tech was around for a while. But on the other hand, we have never ever found a sunstone in a confirmed Viking-era dig, and critics also rightly point out that sagas can be allegorical, not literal, and that Vikings were masters at reading natural cues, like bird flight paths and whale migrations.
So ultimately, whether they had this crystal or not, one fact is undisputed. The Vikings were absolute masters of navigation. Their voyages across the huge, unforgiving Atlantic are just a profound testament to their skill, their courage, and their incredibly deep understanding of the natural world. The sunstone may have just been one tool in a much larger and frankly equally impressive toolkit.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. The story of the sunstone shows how a piece of technology, one that was dismissed as pure fantasy for centuries, could actually be grounded in real, hard science. It really makes you wonder, what other magical objects from our past are just out there waiting for us to finally figure out how they really worked?